One of the largest and longest transatlantic slave trades was 1529 to 1850. Around 15 million Africans, predominantly from West Africa's coastlines, were compelled to move as live cargo to slave markets in a new world over the Middle Passage, a brutal Atlantic Ocean crossing. Africans lost their strength and dignity during the 3 to 4 month journey. They were packed into ships and taken to the Caribbean or America, where they were forever enslaved. Slaves were chained in rows on the ship floor or on meter-high shelves within the ship hulls, preventing them from sitting up. Welcome to Moonjis, a place where you find all kind of facts and mind-twirling information that would make you realize that facts are much stranger than fiction. Slave trade women are underrepresented. 1/3 of 15 million slaves were deported for transatlantic slavery. African women faced forced enslavement, exploitation, and prejudice as women of color. Slave traders and overseers took their bodies and turned them into slaves before the Middle Passage and throughout the New World. African women were transformed by European stereotypes. Europeans perceived them into 3 contradictory stereotypes that are as malicious: whore, slave dominated by lazy, dominant African men or in polygamous marriages, and powerful, who metamorphosed into the rebellious slave, she-devil. African women were shown as strong, masculine, and subhuman, unlike European women who were delicate, fair, and weak. African women's nakedness and primitive nature attracted animal analogies. These prejudices convinced European traders that African women were inferior to white women, justifying their enslavement for sex, childbirth, and labor. Before starting of the voyage, the identities of slaves were imposed by the trade masters, which were generally black slave traders selling the already captured slaves to European slave traders, by denying them to further carry on with their personal and cultural identifiers. The slave trade owners forced the ladies and men come aboard naked. Grooming to avoid pests took away African women's ethnic identity and hairdressing practices. Branding and filed teeth made women look like horrible canines to Europeans. If you learned something new today, please support us by pressing that subscribe button and the bell icon, because that inspires us to make more of such amazing videos every day. Slaves were forced to dance as part of the ship's fitness program for the sailors' entertainment. Women dancing on the quarter-deck gave sailors for the matter of their enjoyment. Captain Kimber famously flogged a teenage girl to death for refusing to dance naked on the ship's deck. More motives for lashing women. According to Fredensborg's slave ship's entry record, 6 ladies found stealing salt received 10 lashes. Before boarding the slave ship, African women slaves were covered with loincloth or pain, yet they were flogged from hip to thigh. Squatting protected these modest women. Pregnant slave ladies gave birth on board with support from other slave women. These mothers couldn't practice their birth traditions. Cumulatively, the denial of rituals on the trip led to the severance of bonds between the living and ancestors, retrains on the ship, disorientation, sickness owing to poor excretion and ventilation, and brutal merciless punishments took their toll on slaves and drove them mad, especially women. They opted for death by suicide, either by starving themselves or jumping off the deck whenever the ship anchored to a new coast. With some on board freedom, it was doable. Women slaves were unchained and allowed to walk around the ship since they were considered less threatening than slave men, giving them time to plan and communicate for the slave insurrection. Most slave resistance failed. The Middle Passage's significance symbolized women's irrevocable transformations. The Middle Passage women slaves' most durable resistance was their commitment to preserve and carry on their cultural identity, history, and customs, which they adapted to as servitude required. They learned to retain communal dignity and solidarity despite prostitution, rape, torture, and death. These enslaved women resisted the enslavement system's attempt to render them faceless, voiceless, and cultureless through passive and active resistance. If you like this video, a sub to the channel would be amazing, and share the video with your friends to show off how different this world has been. You can also visit our website www.moonjis.com for thousands of such mind-blowing content. See you tomorrow with more amazing content. Thanks for watching.